If you ever, when I walk into the chasnas in yeshiva, besides a chasna, there are alumni gatherings, and there are a lot of guys there, Michal. And the tendency, it happens to me, other people have described it, your brain gets overwhelmed. I have a lot of people I want to see and speak to, and your mind's like, I have in general, if I have many tasks on my plate, I get like paralyzed. I have many tasks on my plate, and I get paralyzed. And my wife always says, Daniel, one thing. I'm sitting here now, and there's a lot going on. We're back in yeshiva. It feels like we've been out here for months. It's Sfiras HaOmer. We just had a chag of Pesach. There's all different aspects going on. I want to zone in. I want to zone in on a specific thing that's on my mind. My Rebbe's yard site was last week. My Rebbe passed away a year ago, and his first yard site was last week, the year anniversary of his departure. And I want to talk about my Rebbe. Now, I want to say that I don't need like an excuse to talk about that. That's something I want to talk about. I want to say that it's remarkably relevant to the time we're in. Klal Yisrael right now is thinking about Rabbi Kiva. Everybody around us, there is no music, there's no dancing, people are growing beards, because we're thinking about Rabbi Kiva and his whole journey, the journey of Rabbi Kiva. And we're thinking about the yeshiva of Rabbi Kiva that didn't work, Rabbi Kiva's supposed failure. He had a yeshiva that was nifter, it was a plague, they were tzaddikim. And they obviously impacted our people. Our people are mourning for them, means they had massive impact. And ultimately from Rabbi Kiva came 5 Talmidim that changed the trajectory of our people. So Klal Yisrael is very busy with Rabbi Kiva and his students. We're going to have Lag BaOmer, which is about one of the primary disciples of Rabbi Kiva, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai. Lag BaOmer is possibly, it's a big question, but something connects to Reb Shimon Bar Yochai meeting Rabbi Kiva. So Klal Yisrael is very busy with Rabbi Kiva, with the teaching of Torah, with the transmission of Torah. So I want to tell you a little about my Rebbe. I want to talk about him and a specific lesson that impacted me a lot in my own life, and something that I'm dancing myself, and I want to share this with you. I saw a remarkable thing about my Rebbe. And the way I want to share this with you, the way I want to share this together, is with something the Chida writes in the Torah. Something the Chida writes in the Torah. This week is Parsha Shmini, this past Shabbos. Klal Yisrael, we learn Parsha Shmini, and Parsha Shmini is the halfway point of the Torah. Is the exact halfway point in words in the Torah, and the halfway point in the Torah is Darash. Moshe Rabbeinu seeked, he sought, I don't know how to say it. Moshe to Darash is to be a searcher, is to inquire. Darash Moshe. Moshe inquired. Now the first Darash is the end of the first half of the Torah. The second Darash begins the second half of the Torah. Darash. The Chida writes, when you're sitting at the halfway point of the Torah, let's look at that as a deep immersion in Torah. To your left is a Darash, is a seeking, and to your right is a Darash, is a seeking. Says the Chida, these 2 Darash is the job of every seeker, is to tap into those who seeked before him, pardon the English, but to tap in Darash. There were, before you ever began your search, there were searchers, and that's the Darash to the left, and the Darash to your right is your own searching, your own independent and unique search. And says the Chida, when somebody's immersed in Torah, has a Darash to their left and a Darash to their right, which means tap into the search of others that came before you and your own Darash. The Chida writes, Yehuda. The halfway point of the Torah in words is darash, darash. It says Moshe inquired. To be darash is to search. The double lashon darash is to inquire a lot. So that's the halfway. The first darash is the last word of the first half of the Torah. The second darash is the first word of the second half of the Torah. It's exact halfway point in the Torah. Says the Chidah, when you're completely immersed, you're in the middle of the Torah, so to speak, to your left is a darash, to your right is a darash. Which the Chidah says means tap into the searching that was done before you and your own unique individual search. That's the darash. It sounds cute. It's like a good trick, Maish. Cute Chidah. If you actually know what was going on in the Torah at the time, it's actually the first machlokes of Torah Shabbal Peh. I don't want to go into detail. If you read the Psukim, Hashem commanded Aaron to eat from the menachos, from certain karbanos, from the menachos that were offered during the inauguration of the Mishkan. There was a machlokes, Moshe and Aaron, a fiery machlokes. Should Aaron HaKohen eat from the chatas of Rosh Chodesh? And Aaron held he should not eat from it and refused to eat. And Moshe held he should eat. Moshe Rabbeinu ends up being moeded to Aaron, but they have a machlokes. It's the first Torah Shabbal Peh, Yehuda. It's cool because we're describing darash, the search of the Torah Shabbal Peh of the individual, and the job is to attach into the seekers before him and have his own independent search. Now, what I want to say, my Rebbe's yard site was last week. What was very, very cool and unique about my Rebbe, Jacob, you would have loved my Rebbe. It's hard. I'm not doing an exhaustive eulogy of my Rebbe right now. It's a complicated, to give over a person is difficult, and I'm not prepared properly. And my Rebbe was a fascinating, I would say even a sophisticated, complex person. Some people like easy, he was not. He was very thought out, a very deep person, a very worked on person. I could speak about him a long, long time. I say he was my Rebbe from young ages. I say I was 11 and 12. I was drawn when he spoke. He would speak and I was drawn to what he said. I'm not saying like cheesy, my Rebbe. I'm saying a person who would speak about life, Torah, and I was drawn to what he was saying. For many, many years, I was drawn to his Torah, to his ideals, to the values he was speaking about, and he impacted my life in a very profound way. It's interesting, when I was younger, I was scared of my Rebbe. My Rebbe could be soft and complimentary and could be very tough. My Rebbe hung up the phone on me. My Rebbe called me a baby. My Rebbe told me to grow up a couple of times. And he was not often tough. He usually was soft, but there was a tough side also. I liked both sides. I liked the soft side. I liked the tough side. Obviously, the soft side was easier, but my Rebbe was honest with me. I would say at the end of his life, the conversations I had then, because of the guys here, a couple of years ago, I was never my Rebbe knew me well, and I felt was one of the only people in the world, one of the only who really knew, I felt understood me and knew me. A few years ago, after the guys here are so honest, I went to my Rebbe and poured my heart out, and was the most honest I ever was with him. And the encouragement, validation, and encouragement I got from him, I think will stand with me the rest of my life. And I had so it's to give over about my Rebbe, about my relationship is not something I could do now. I want to share a specific aspect of my Rebbe that means a lot to me. And I want to say that he was very loyal to his Rebbeim. My Rebbe was a Talmud of Rav Aaron Kotler. He was very loyal to Lakewood. I never saw him with Rav Aaron. Rav Aaron passed away before I was born, right around. Rav Aaron was nifter in 1973 maybe? What year? 62. I was born in 74. He was nifter before I was born. I saw my Rebbe with one of the main disciples of Rav Aaron. And to see my Rebbe next to that disciple, my Rebbe would become very kafuf. It's very cool to see your Rebbe, who you're humbled in front of, to be humbled in front of his Rebbe. I never saw my Rebbe with his own Rebbe. I did see my Rebbe with his father, and his father was one of his three great Rebbeim. But I saw my Rebbe with the Talmud of Rav Aaron. The Rosh Yeshiva of Long Beach was a Talmud of Rav Aaron, and my Rebbe was very humble to that Talmud of Rav Aaron, to the Rosh Yeshiva of Long Beach. The bottom line is, what I want to say about my Rebbe, he was very loyal to the Lakewood Yeshiva system. He felt very connected to Rav Aaron, his teachings, and the BMG Lakewood model. My Rebbe all his life was impacted by that and felt a connection to that. And yet he was fiercely independent, unique, and had his own worldly take on the world. And was an independent seeker, very independent. Even at the end of his life, as an example, the Lakewood typical Rosh Yeshiva take was, there was a rally after October 7th, after Simchas Torah. There was a rally, and a lot of Rosh Yeshivas came out not to go, and my Rebbe was livid. He held it was pasha to go and was upset, and strongly and fiercely held to go. And what I saw in my Rebbe was a loyalty to Messiah, a loyalty to the way Torah was given, a connection to the yeshivas, and yet a fierce independence. And the way he balanced those two things was very, very moving to me. I have seen people disregard the system, so to speak, disregard Manhige Yisrael. My Rebbe was very loyal to the Gedolim and Tzaddikim. The Gedolei Adar, the Manhige Adar, the leaders of the generation said things, my Rebbe was very loyal to it. Was a loyal partner and teammate, and joined in with Klal Yisrael, and yet he was very fiercely independent. And he balanced two things that feel very different. He balanced those two things beautifully. I'm part of Klal Yisrael. I'm part of the network of yeshivas. And he was firmly part of it. And he made a yeshiva. I look at the yeshiva my Rebbe created. Very interesting place, because it produced many, many leaders in our people, many special people, but it was very loyal to the Messiah, and yet it had its own independent streak to it. And that darash that the Chidah says is the center of the Torah, to tap into the seekers that came before you, to tap in, to understand we have a Messiah, and yet have your own unique search. I saw that uniquely in my Rebbe. I saw a person who was so independent, he was so creative, and had such a unique take on things. My Rebbe spoke always, his father, my Rebbe's first Rebbe in his life was his father. His father was a Rav in Queens, and he was my Rebbe's first Rebbe. Nice to see you, Moshe. Welcome home, Moshe. My Rebbe's father was his first Rebbe, and his father taught him young, whatever my Rebbe would ask his father would say back to him, Yechiel, what do you hold? What do you hold? And my Rebbe did that to us. He demanded and asked us to have our own opinions. He pushed us to have our own opinions. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, it's a Gemara in Kedushin. The Gemara Kedushin says when a Rebbe and a Talmud learns, at first they're enemies, they're only friends at the end. It's a Gemara Kedushin Lamed Aleph. It says a Rebbe and a Talmud are first enemies, they're only friends at the end. And my Rebbe explained to us from Rabbi Yisrael Salanter, what it means to be enemies is they must have different opinions. A Talmud doesn't sit there writing, my Rebbe holds, my Rebbe holds. It's not a Talmud. What do you hold? What do you hold? Your own unique opinion. If the 30 people here were supposed to have 30 opinions, a Rebbe and a Talmud must have different ways of viewing things. At the end, as Shalom means they understand each other, and there's a bigger sugya. If the Talmidim just have the same opinion as the Rebbe, Rabbi Yisrael says, Einoi Torah, it's not Torah. Rabbi Yisrael Salanter gets very fierce, And he says that's not learning. Learning is diverse opinions. And my Rebbe was exactly that picture and trained us to have unique opinions. I want to tell you something. I want to tell you a personal story that I want to share with the guys. It's a meaningful story that I want to share with you. 25 years ago, my wife and I were moving back from Eretz Yisrael. We had a decision to make. We were either going to come to Waterbury, Connecticut, to help start a yeshiva. Rabbi Kaufman invited me to come to Waterbury. He was starting a yeshiva, and to join in him starting a yeshiva with Rabbi Kaufman. That was option one. Option two is my Rebbe wanted me to take. Rabbi Kaufman was leaving Yeshiva Rockaway to start this. He was the 12th grade Rebbe, and my Rebbe invited me to teach 12th grade in Yeshiva Rockaway. Now, I was very, very close to my Rebbe. And growing up, it's a big dream to teach in the yeshiva. I had dreams of teaching in Yeshiva Rockaway. When you grow up in an institution, that was I had dreams of playing center field for the Mets. I sometimes felt I was very weak hitter, so I don't know if I would make it. It was like a question in my mind. I felt fielding, I could do it. Probably it was a dream, but that was either center field for the Mets or teaching Yeshiva Rockaway, and that was something that was relevant on my mind. Kira Vatican, you have different dreams, different thoughts. L'maisa, my Rebbe offered me to come teach 12th grade in Yeshiva Rockaway by him. That was somewhat that had been a thought on my mind as a youngster, or to move to Waterbury, Connecticut, and that was a dilemma my wife and I faced. It probably was the time, like you see your whole life, like different paths. It either meant moving back to the city of my youth, moving back to Far Rockaway, or moving to Waterbury, which didn't have a million of Jews in the city. And this was like a dilemma that my wife and I encountered, like one of the earliest, like big dilemmas of our life. And I want to say that my Rebbe badly wanted me to come to Yeshiva Rockaway. He asked me very strongly and wanted me, and at the end, I made cheshbonis and decided to come to Waterbury, and it was not easy. And my Rebbe was somewhat upset at me. That's not easy. So I'm even having tendency of people pleasing, and here my Rebbe's upset, who I care about the world to, and he was upset at me. He wanted me to come, and it was a very, very difficult time. And years later, I went back to my Rebbe, and this is the truth, that I believe my ability not to listen to him came from him. Because he pushed me a lot to think independently. He spoke about that, and he pushed me a lot to think independently. A lot. I want to tell you that at a eulogy for my Rebbe, his son spoke, and his son took over the yeshiva from my Rebbe. And his son publicly said that he had a disagreement with his own father. He was taking over his father's yeshiva, and he had a disagreement with his father. And he said to his father, and he said this publicly at a eulogy for his father, his hesped, he said, Tati, you taught me to go with what I think, and I think my way, not like you. And his father said, you're right, go with your way. And I want to say that I thank my Rebbe, my ability, ironically, to say to go here and not come with him came from him. And he taught us a lot to have opinions. He spoke about it. What do you hold? And it matters what the emes looks like to you. It matters a lot. I think a lot of people are stifled from the emes because they're not taught to trust their own emes. I want to say a big thing about this yeshiva. I don't say that, some people will tell you in your life, trust me, trust me, trust me. Don't trust. I say one thing, trust yourself. I'm very into guys going with their gut. Trust yourself, trust yourself, trust yourself. I always find it fascinating. The last night when guys describe their journey, they often describe coming to yeshiva that they had a lot of reasons not, and they describe like how it happened they came. Like, why'd I come? How'd I get to come? A lot is the story of people learning to trust themselves, and I believe people should trust themselves. I happen to put a lot of stock, Reb Nachman talks about it, into gut, and if there's you sense the truth, don't push that away easily. Learn to trust yourself. Learn to trust. A lot of bad things happen when people don't trust themselves. A lot. I want to tell you with parents, and this is not against asking advice. You should ask advice. But Rabbi Chaim Volozhin writes, ask advice, and then do like you think. I find in chinuch a lot of mothers, it chills me, I find a lot of parents say, I thought to do this, but professionals told me not to. I went to a particular meeting, a bacher was crying to his mother that I wanted a hug and you were like handling my cell phone and I needed you. And you were and the mother started crying and said, I felt that way, but a professional told me. It's like, go with your gut. Go with your gut. There's room to ask advice. There's room. And listen to people and then decide what hits you. What resonates by you. What seems the truth by you. What seems the truth by you. What looks the truth? What's the emes by you? What it appears to be the truth? My Rebbe was very, very big on pushing a person discovering his emes. His first Rebbe, his father, would tell him all the time, Yechiel, what do you hold? My Rebbe in Musarvad, he gave Musarvad daily, and he would have us at different times deliver and have homeworks. He wanted us to learn to find our truths. To find our truths, what appears true by us, what resonates by us, is extremely, extremely important. Guys, a lot of guys here, some of the guys here are going to go to learn in Eretz Yisrael. Even when guys talk in Sulam, it becomes a conversation, which Rebbe to trust. The guys talk about pushing themselves. Aaron's going to go to Eretz Yisrael. So Aaron, I want you to find a Rebbe. How are you going to know who to trust, Aaron? You know how you're going to know? If you think it's true. I beg you to trust you. It's not working. Try to trust. And guys speak about this. I don't like it a lot. Guys speak, I came to Eretz Yisrael and I pushed myself even. No. If you don't trust, I don't trust. And then find somebody that inside. The whole art of finding a Rebbe is if you feel he's saying emes, so then seek it. Has to resonate by you. Trust you. Trust you. But somebody told me, but I heard no. If it doesn't feel right, so then it has to feel right. It has to resonate, Aaron. And that aspect of my Rebbe being a seeker and trusting himself and really like having opinions on things and sensing the emes, all the while loyal to Rebbeim. It does not contradict. All the while loyal to Messiah, all the while a team player, the way he merged those two things, Darash, the two seeking, the tapping into the seekers that were, to tapping into your own independent space, we can merge those two things, Chaim. We can merge. He was not combating others. He wasn't fighting others. He was a team player, by the way, who went along with things he disagreed with. There's what the rabbim's doing. There's an art of a yachid. There's halach, yachid v'rabbim. It's one of the fascinating things in Shas. Yachid v'rabbim halacha k'rabbim. And the yachid, how he functions, he still has his opinion, but he's kafuf. There's a whole art. I wanted to share a halacha with the guys that is fascinating. Please listen to this. And this, in a lot of ways, describes my Rebbe. Yehuda, I think it's worth it to come if I could share the following halacha. Everybody, Chaim, I want you to listen to this. Avi, I want you to listen to this. Aaron, if a guy goes to Sanhedrin as a murder trial, and 70 people, every guy on Bezdin says the guy's guilty, what happens, Aaron? He's not guilty. Avram, I want you to hear this. If all 70 say the guy is guilty, what happens? We do not kill him, he goes home. Why? You cannot have clarity if somebody didn't argue. Now let's say the guy murdered in front of Bezdin. He mamish murdered in front of Bezdin, but maybe it was self-defense, maybe he felt threatened. Maybe yes, if you don't have one opinion different, you don't have clarity. So watch this. You with me? So if all 70 on Bezdin say a guy's guilty, what happens, Yehuda? He goes home. Watch this. You're on the Bezdin, and you absolutely hold the guy's guilty. 69 people voted on Bezdin guilty. You're the 70th guy. Should you say guilty or innocent? If you say guilty, he's innocent. If you say innocent, he's guilty. Yaakov, you hear the question? 69 people said guilty, you're the 70th. If you say guilty, which is what you think, he's innocent. If you say innocent, he's guilty. Should you say innocent or guilty? What? But if you say what you think, then he's going to get the opposite of what you think. You hear the Shaila? Or the opposite way. Let's say you hold he's innocent. If you say innocent, you're going to make him guilty. Should you say guilty? Elia, you hear the Shaila? 69 said the guy. Sheikh, you hear the Shaila? 69 said guilty. You hold he's innocent. What happens if you say innocent? He's going to get killed. What happens if you say guilty? He's going to be innocent. What should you say? You have to say what you actually believe. Chika says you say what you believe and let Hashem do his thing. If you hold he's innocent, you should say innocent. Now, by saying innocent, he's going to get killed.
Everyone says innocent.
Everybody says guilty.
Let me ask you, if everyone says innocent,
you try to convince him. No, if anybody says innocent, he's innocent. If all of them say guilty and you hold he's innocent, then by saying innocent, you're going to cause him to get killed, you say innocent. And then he gets killed. That's not your problem. What I want to say is there's an art in being the one. Your job is not to play God. Your job is to bring your light to the world. This guy holds innocent. By saying innocent, you're going to kill the guy. Okay. I want to say there's an art to being the one. My Rebbe was the one. He was independent, but he joined the rabbim. He wasn't separate from the rabbim, and he accepted the rabbim. Great to see Moshe. Great to see Moshe. Great to see you, Maisha. There's an art.
I have to do me. I can't.
This was a demonstration, and you have to do you 100%. But there's an art to being the individual and learning to work and conform with the rabbim, and it's an art form. My Rebbe would be that guy who would say innocent, and then we kill him because the rabbim said to kill him. And by the way, you can even, I want to say something, Yehuda Deep. The guy is even contributing to the rabbim. He's actually, by being a yachid, allowing you to kill him. That defines my Rebbe in many ways. The yachid is not cursing out the rabbim. I'm part of you. I'm going to say my opinion and I'm going to help you. Think of this individual, by saying innocent, he actually helps the rabbim. There's something so cool to that. By disagreeing to the rabbim, as long as you're part of Bezdin. If you wouldn't be on Bezdin, your independent wouldn't matter. Because you're on Bezdin and you said innocent, Bezdin can kill. The Yachid who's part of the rabbin. I had a friend who was brilliant. He went after 9th grade to Beis Medrash. He was a genius. My Rebbe begged him to be part of the tzibur. Don't ignore, don't disconnect yourself from the rabbin. Be part of the rabbin. And my Rebbe, in a beautiful way, was part of the rabbin. At the Seder, my father would speak about this at the Seder, would highlight this yearly. The Rasha is a Rasha because he separates himself from the Klal. The Rambam says if you have a person who's a tzaddik, he keeps all Torah and mitzvahs. He learns all day and all night, but he disconnects himself from Klal Yisrael. He's a Rasha. We're part of a people. We're part of a people. My Rebbe was fiercely part of a people. He was part of a people. He was part of Am Yisrael. And he was also an individual. There's an art form of this. I have seen people be individuals and like, in the Yiddish will be fun, curse out, ignore and detach themselves from our people. Never. Part of the rabbin, part of the yeshivas, part of the anhagas of yeshiva, all the while with the opinion of an individual. And that's something I wanted to stress here. I think we're a yeshiva of a lot of people who have independent streaks rightfully and beautifully and correctly, a sense of what's true. And to trust oneself and to demand oneself, what's your opinion? What do you hold? How does it look like to you? If something doesn't feel right, it probably is not. You have no right to just be a team player, No. Fiercely be independent, all the while connecting to the team, all the while being part of the team, even assisting the team. It's so cool how a guy is called upon to say innocent to allow the guy to get killed. I think that's magical. I think that's so deep and profound. Bring your opinion to help. It will ultimately help the rabbin. Ironically, the independent opinion, different than the rabbin, helps the rabbin. There's more clarity here. We have a wider range of truths. So long as people respect each other, so long as people are part, and there was a tremendous respect, tremendous part of being. So I wanted to share this darash of the Chida. I think it's very, very relevant. The Talmidim of Rabbi Kiva were nifter shaloi nagu kavei zelazeh. They were the Messiah of Torah, and there were going to be various opinions amongst them. What has to be is people respect each other. People value each other and people respect each other. That has to be. My dream in Eretz Yisrael, and I want to say this, there are diverse opinions in Eretz Yisrael. There are holy Yidden who hold not to fight in the army, hold it's dangerous for our youth, and it's a strong opinion, and they're beautiful Yidden. And then the Yidden who hold to fight for our people, and beautiful Yidden. My dream is they should argue and speak. Not rhetoric, not tough words, my dream. My prayer and my dream is people should go into a room and really talk for a week, a month, a year, but not tough rhetoric. The talk of Shammai and Hillel, the talk of Shammai and Hillel, honest conversation, real conversation, dialogue, talk, that's what we need. We need honest dialogue, but like real, we need to hear each other. We need to listen. Shammai listened to Hillel, Hillel listened to Shammai, and they caused our people to have so much beauty because there was diverse opinion. Our people's beautiful. Now, if there's hate and anger and disrespect for each other, then it's not what we're talking about. We're so capable of having diverse opinions. We're capable. If you want to know, Mashiach, Bez Hashem will come. Mashiach's going to look like, it's going to have to be a tzaddik and a gadol who knows kol haTorah kula, who's able to incorporate many shittas, who leaves room in the Beis Medrash. We're learning. No, it's going to be a bit from David. We learned in Brachas last man about when Rabbi Eliezer took over the Nesius, and there were more opinion. There was a ribi of Safalim in the Beis Medrash. We're big enough as a people to incorporate many shittas. Machlokes could be beautiful if we respect each other, different ways, different things, different aspects to bring. We're big enough and strong enough. So I wanted to share this aspect. I felt was like always such a cool aspect of my Rebbe, this like mitzad echad, the unique independent look at things and not afraid to be the one who says innocent. Mitzad sheni, there was the rule of the rabbim, there was Messiah, there was the chachma of others, there was the, so to speak, the yeshivas and the hanhagas yeshivas that was so kept to and loyally defended and loyally a part of, and that combination is something I wanted to give over to the Chevra. There's one more thing I wanted to say about my Rebbe. At this time, Klal Yisrael was thinking about Torah Sheba'al Peh, and it was his yard site last week. I want to share something else with the Chevra. My Rebbe was hours late. We'll do this fast. Ooh, no, it's really late. No, there's a schedule, and I don't want to hurt a schedule. That's loyalty. We're going to dive in Mincha now, and to be continued. Okay. Thank you. Mincha now, Chevra, and then followed by the